What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be showing you the number one automation that I recommend to every single Smartlead user. In fact, this automation is so good that if I had to keep one automation and delete every single other automation that I've built, and I've got 100 plus of them, this is the one automation that I would keep. And so what this allows us to do is it allows us to track all of the positive replies that we get and organize them by the date that they reply. And we're able to see that across all of our different clients, which I've obviously filtered out for the video. But it's also color coded by the category that's inside Smartlead. And so, for example, if we were to click on this, we're going to see that it's in the meeting request section. And so I probably have to work on this lead. And so I can click on the campaign URL, which is going to take me to the Smartlead inbox. Further than that, we're able to display all of this data in different views, such as the list, Gantt, calendar, board, and what you were just looking at is the timeline view. This is going to allow us to create a custom CRM unique to our own needs. And by the way, I use ClickUp, but I know people who have success doing this in Notion, Airtable, HubSpot, Salesforce, and so many more other tools. And so it doesn't matter what tool you use. The idea, though, is that you're simply grabbing all of the positive replies and putting them in your database. And by the way, the best part is that if you were to navigate over to afonto.com/automations, you're able to copy all of these automations for free. And so if you were to click on this, make a copy of the Sheets file, the database that you were just looking at in ClickUp, this is what it would look like, right? And so boom, let's go back over here and let me tell you what else this allows us to do. The next thing this allows us to do is, because we have these leads inside our database, we're able to add additional fields such as the booked, the no-show, the show booked, all of that different stuff, which is going to inform our lead list building efforts. In addition to that, we are able to add further things such as the tracking of the status movement, right? And so we can see that this person was in meeting request for 5 days, and then we move them to closed and sequenced in 117 days. We can see that this person was interested for 12 days and then closed and sequenced in 112 days. This, by the way, is going to come in super, super handy as we start building comprehensive analytics dashboards, right? We can see all of this data. This person started as information request. Turns out they were improperly categorized. They actually need to be in meeting requests. So we moved them there right away and then closed and sequenced them 26 days later. Boom, just like that. And we can have a dashboard displaying all of this data. Next thing, we're able to backtrack all of the positive replies and backtrack them to their specific campaigns to see the departments, the employees, the industries, the countries, all of that stuff. And so if we notice that in one particular campaign, we're getting tons and tons of positive replies from the manufacturing industry, for example, we would know to double down on that industry, right? And all we needed was to have the leads organized in this manner. Last but not least, we're able to use this information to create notifications for ourselves, our clients, our teammates inside Gmail, Slack, WhatsApp, or any platform that we desire. And so this is an example of what an email we would send looks like. And when we were to click on this button right here, it would take us to the master inbox, or we can have a simple add-on that has the information of the lead inside that button so that they can reply to the lead directly from Gmail or Outlook. And so if you want to see that, let me know, but we're not going to touch on that point for now. So boom, that's the automation. And so this is what it looks like. This basically leverages the Smartlead webhooks functionality. And so the first section over here is going to be the webhook, which we're going to create inside Smartlead. And so you can just call this like category change, put your webhook URL. You can categorize it as a campaign, client, or user. And then the event type is going to be lead category updated, right? And the lead categories that I like to choose are the positive interest categories, such as information request, interested, meeting request. And then I've got a few other custom categories that I leverage that you may or may not want to have for yourself. And by the way, when we go back to the sales funnel, we'll notice that closed and sequence is up there. we closed and transferred, and the person that we were previously looking at, that's a meeting request, right? And so I've got all of those categories synced up inside my ClickUp account. The next thing you want to do, you want to look for the task. And by the way, this is the filter I've got. Just double check out of office, do not contact. All of these, I just don't want to have them inside here. And so the next thing we want to do is we want to look for the task. And so we're looking for the task based on the Smartlead email. And so that's what we're filtering for. And by the way, if you're using Google Sheets, like a database like this, you can simply search for the email. If you're using HubSpot, Salesforce, any of those, you're also able to search for the email. So it doesn't matter what type of database you're using, the idea is still the same. You look for the actual task slash contact, right? And then if you run an agency, you actually want to find the client by the client ID. And so when we navigate over to the client section, we've got a client, which is myself in this case, with a bunch of information such as the email recipients, Slack channel ID. We've got the client ID, which is the main one that we're talking about. And we've got the notification platform, which is going to come in handy. And these are the notification platforms that we've got: Slack, email, WhatsApp, right? And so inside your Google Sheets doc, if that's what you're going to use, you would simply have a custom field. And so custom field, in this particular case, you can make this email recipients, right? So you can say email recipients, boom. And then you can add your email recipients like that across all of the different clients. And so what we're searching for, though, is just the client ID. So regardless of the database, you want to have a client ID. And so once we found the client ID and the task, we're going to be able to start leveraging those. And so going to the task to begin with, if the task exists, right? This is the filter that I've used. We're going to edit the task with the fields that already have that are inside Smartlead, such as the categories, making sure that we have a sync going on with the categories. This is a one-way sync. We can create a separate automation that creates a two-way sync. And so if something happens inside our ClickUp account, we have a two-way sync. And then we have a middle layer of protection, which is probably too complex to go into the video, but I will explain it for anyone who wants to do a two-way sync. Essentially, if you update the status inside Smartlead, it's also going to update inside ClickUp. And inside ClickUp, there's an automation that if the category changes, we make an update to Smartlead. And so what you want to avoid is a 360 rotation where they're just updating one another back and forth like that, right? And so you have to have a middle layer that stops that constant changing. But we're not going to get into that for now. And so boom, we add all the fields. So the task name, the status, the email, lead ID, all of this information we are able to add to our ClickUp account. And you can ignore all of these if statements or whatever. I'm just trying to make it look pretty, but you can simply just put in your LinkedIn, similar to how I put the email or the campaign ID, right? And by the way, how do you get the departments, the employees, the industries, the countries? How do you get all of that information? You can actually add them at this point. So at this point, you probably have your Smartlead contacts with those custom fields. And so you can simply add them inside this section over here. In my case, I also use HubSpot. And so all of the leads and their industries and whatever those custom fields are, they've already been added, and I typically add them. Well, in this case, this is the wrong one. This is the wrong one. Anyways, I don't think it really matters, but I think I'll check it to show you, right? I typically add them at the beginning of the lead list building efforts, right? So that's when I'm typically adding all of this information. So let's just double check and let's see if we've got the fields to show you. If not, then whatever. I think you're gonna get the point. Or I'm not showing all the columns, so I think it's probably lookup contact. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So anyway, if you wanted to have the fields popping up like this, and by the way, these ones are for anyone who's wondering like why this might not be showing up. These were last updated 3 months ago, and so that's probably why. If we were to look at some of the new tables, those ones would have something. So yeah, you can simply add the fields, and then using those fields, we're able to backtrack the data like this. And it may or may not look like this for you, but it doesn't matter. The point is, have the data inside your CRM or project management tool. And finally, notifying clients, notifying ourselves, notifying our team. And so I use the HTTP module over here, but you don't need to use that. You can actually just use a Slack module. And so this is what the Slack module looks like. You choose a channel, and the channel ID, by the way, we are leveraging from our client database. And so inside our client database, we've got a Slack channel ID, and inside here, we've also got a Slack channel ID. Like you can see, like it's the same process. All of them work. And so we choose the Slack channel dynamically, and then we have a message that says new engaged lead, email, contact, and then we have a hyperlink that sends them to the Smartlead inbox. And by the way, some quick tips for anyone who's curious: if you wanted to notify a specific person, you can actually have their ID like this, right? And so this is going to ensure that they get the notification, but it's also going to ensure that the notification uh, is marked with one of those red ones or whatever, right? Ensuring that they don't miss the reply. Um, and finally, you're going to get multiple options to connect your Slack account. You get the user and you get the bot. I recommend using a bot. And the reason I don't recommend using a user is because using a user sends the message as you yourself. And so, in the example that I just gave here, if you wanted to tag yourself and notify yourself, you wouldn't actually receive the notification because you sent the email, you sent the message. And so, if you wanted to do that, you would use a bot. And that's why I have the notification agency like this. This is an incoming webhook, not relevant. You could just use this for simplicity's sake, and you would have this over here. That being said, let's actually download one of these, right? So let's actually just download one of these. So boom, this is how simple it is. You click on the blueprint, you download it, you navigate over to a new automation, you import the blueprint, the JSON file, we've got that, and boom, we've got that. And so this is what we were just talking about. You put your incoming webhook, you put the data like this. So boom, either way works. And then with regards to creating beautiful notifications inside Gmail, you would have it use this module, right? So this is a send module, and then you send it to the recipient. So email recipients is going to be a custom field, and this custom field can be I'm just gonna go with sheet with how I've got it right now. Just know that you can do it in Sheets too, right? If you wanted to have like a copy paste solution, right? And so email recipients, we've got a comma separated list of all of the people who we should be contacting for this. We've also got billing contacts, but that's for a different time. Um, but once you've determined those email recipients, you simply need to input them as a field over here and then use the split function over here to separate them by the comma. This is going to turn it into an array and then look at each of those individual emails one by one. And if you want to CC yourself, you can simply add a comma and then add your actual email address. So noel@afonto.com. Boom. Just like that. So that would be great, right? And then you've got the subject line, and then as far as the code that you're looking at over here, so this is HTML format because we're sending an actual email. This would be coming from a tool called befree.io, and so inside befree.io, you're able to design your emails to look however you want. Once you've determined how you want your emails to look, you are then able to export those emails. And by the way, this is free, right? You get 6 monthly exports, and that's plenty for this use case, right? Once you've downloaded it, you can copy the HTML and simply paste the HTML here, after which you can modify the individual fields, such as the company name, etc. And you'll notice I've got a few if statements. What this does is it allows this notification to be dynamic, essentially meaning that if the company name does not exist, we're not going to send the company name in the email. And so that's everything. This is the number one automation. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you're having a wonderful